Hello, everybody out there. I hope you are doing well and enjoying your Wednesday evening. I cannot believe we are into May 6th here. Pretty crazy, but thank you so much for joining us here at SeriesFest. SeriesFest is a nonprofit organization that champions and empowers artists at the forefront of episodic storytelling. And we are gearing up for a culmination of that work at our 6-day virtual festival, which is coming up on
Hello, everybody out there.
24th. And make sure to sign up for our newsletter to receive up-to-date information, as we have some big programming announcements coming soon. And those days in June are truly a celebration of TV and episodic content, so we hope you will join us. I want to thank a few of our generous year-round partners who help us bring great programs like this to you. So huge thank you to Coca Cola, Once Upon a Time Productions, and JP Morgan Chase & Co. Thank you so much. As you well know, this event is open and free to the public, but we do have a suggested donation to SeriesFest of $10. Your donation helps SeriesFest support underserved voices in episodic storytelling during this unprecedented time. You can donate directly through our Facebook and Instagram profiles or through our website at seriesfest.com/donate. No amount is too small and no amount is too big. But on to our main presentation here. I'm so thrilled to have him here. You may know him from The Resident or The Americans, but we love him for Lawrence and Succession. Please welcome our special guest for this evening, Rob Yang. Rob, if you'll join me. Oh, there he is.
Oh.
What's going on?
Hey, Brandy.
How you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good.
Well, I wanted to just start off with first just doing a quick little shout out to your sister, Linda Yang, who I've known for years and years. You're out there watching. We worked together at Film at Lincoln Center, and then she actually helped us when we were getting SeriesFest off the ground launch. And for years, I've heard about her amazing brother's career and have followed it. And finally, in January, she connected us, and we were able to hang out at Sundance in January. So that was pretty, that was pretty fun. Epic times up there in Park City.
Yeah, that was pre craziness.
I know.
Actually, in the midst of it, but unbeknownst to us. So, yeah.
That's right. That's right. So, how have you been keeping busy in this quarantine time?
Me, well, I've been realizing that I don't really love myself that much. I think spending a lot of time with myself. I am so tired of myself. So I'm thrilled to do this Zoom stuff. I've only done it a couple times. So.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
You were telling me earlier you've got a pretty rigid workout schedule going on.
Oh yeah. In fact, I have these on little note cards here. This is 5 to 10 reps of chin-ups and push-ups, or actually dips, but it's kind of tough to do dips when you got nothing to actually dip on. So they're kind of like these constipated movements that I do, but there's no rest in between them. So I've been slowly getting changing my body composition here in the wrong direction, but it's cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, obviously we're here to talk about Succession. Certainly one of my favorite shows. I was a little bit of a late starter on it, admittedly so, but I had then the pleasure of binging 2 seasons in a weekend, which I think it was like, I think I did it in 2 days, maybe a third day, but I remember just starting that pilot and I couldn't stop. How did you get involved with Succession?
You mean in the very beginning or watching?
Very
the binging part. I kind of watched it like this in the beginning. But yeah, it was God, it was so long ago. The second season's done, but really it's kind of been a 3-year sort of thing. It's they shot the pilot and I just had an audition that came in. I sent a tape in, and then I think it was like a week and a half later, I was told that the director, who is Adam McKay, wanted to Skype with me, and so I was like, oh, that's really cool. And when we Skyped, I got to Skype with him where it was literally, I could only see his forehead, and he's a tall guy too, but they framed it so that it was literally just his eyeballs and his forehead at the bottom of the frame. So I couldn't even see him. And then it kept freezing and everything, and it went pretty horribly, but somehow they let me in still. So.
And so you filmed the pilot, and then you had to wait, right, to see if it actually got picked up by HBO.
Yeah, we shot it in New York, and then came back to LA, and then I think it was sometime in, I want to say like April or May the next year. It shot in the fall, and then so it was like something like a 6-month waiting period or something like that, and then we had the premiere. I think that's right. I don't know. I keep getting messed up with the calendar. It was a long time in between that, but yeah, it's kind of, which is kind of weird, because then you find out that you get picked up, and then you go and shoot it, and it's literally like a year after, and it's you get to see everybody again. But it's cool watching it over again, though. I watched it before this, and it's cool to see it where you have some distance to it, and then seeing the beginning of it and seeing how everybody liked the show, which you don't know when you start something.
Yeah, it was fun. Yesterday I rewatched it, and I hadn't seen it a long time, and rewatching the pilot, and all of a sudden I realized I was almost through the second episode, and I actually had things and I was like, oh my God, I can't just watch all of Succession again. Like you just fall right back into it, and you love and hate so many of the characters. I mean, it's such an incredible ensemble cast that you're a part of, and but the pilot episode specifically, I mean, you bookend that so beautifully. With your opening scene,
Oh yeah,
the end. Really, really fun. Your relationship
Yeah.
with Kendall, and watching that, and obviously that really blossoms in the second season as well. But I want to go directly to some audience questions, because we're already getting them in. So first I'm going to ask, so Ernestine Harrison actually on Facebook earlier asked, was there a specific person or company your character was based on?
Specific company or actual person?
Specific person or
yes. I don't think so. There definitely are like companies out there, but it was sort of this amalgamation of kind of that the new media companies out there. Like I think when I looked at the character and what I did, I just kind of looked at what was out there, but there wasn't really, I don't think there was like one specific person. In fact, it wasn't even an Asian guy when I auditioned for it. So I made that, Asian because of this thing.
This thing,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah, I can't help it, everyone's making stuff Asian.
Well, speaking of, Stephen Liang, who's on YouTube right now with us, wants to know, in what ways do you hope to challenge Asian American representation in film and television?
How do I want to challenge it? I've thought about this, and I think what's happening in the industry is really great. You're seeing a lot more Asian stories that are being told from the director writing side. I definitely want to do that going forward as well, be on the writing side of the table. But as far as an actor goes, it's still, I tend to, I think I'm doing my part. I tend to get these parts that are really any ethnicity, and then I go in there and just do whatever I do, and then it's suddenly an Asian part out there that's not necessarily written for an Asian, which means that we're just human. And I think
Absolutely.
I think it depends on the story that you're telling. I definitely want to see more stories about like people who are just like me who grew up in the States. So it's a lot of times it's stuff like it used to be that a lot of the Asian parts I'd go out for, they tended to be just special character work, because I'm not even Chinese, but I'd be auditioning for something that's Chinese, and so I'd go out there and try to find out more about the culture or the part or things like that. So it was always this thing that there's definitely like a guy out there who's just that guy. So I'd be like coming in and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do my best to be this triad guy delivering some takeout the best I can. That's kind of a joke, but it's not, because I've been in for those.
I mean, you've had some pretty incredible roles. Is there one that really sticks out to you as sort of changing your career or bolstering it forward, or something that really just stuck with you in terms of your full career?
Well, this role was cool on Succession, because I actually had a bunch of like 8 Asian artists and actors and even people who aren't even in the business who reached out to me and told me that it was so cool to see a tough Asian character on television, and which I was like, oh, thank you. I didn't even know what I did. I didn't even think it was tough. I was just like, oh, this guy's just got a job, but thank you for calling me tough, because I don't have to do all these chin-ups and dips then. If my moral fiber is tough, I don't even know what that means. Yeah, so I think Succession was pretty important. I love playing Asian characters though. Like on The Americans, that was something that it was a Korean family, and that was great. It's like I don't have a family, so it's cool pretending like I have beautiful kids and a wife who loves me. Well, that's my backstory. Who knows if that's actually the case or not. But I love playing. That was cool because it was just a Korean American family, and it was around the time that my dad was kind of that age too. So it was cool to have a point of reference of trying to bring something honest to it.
I love that. Well, actually, on that subject of your character, one Waleda, and I hope I didn't just butcher your name, I'm sorry if I did, from YouTube asked, do you think of Lawrence as a villain or a good guy just trying to hustle his way around this behemoth family business?
A villain? I never thought of him as a villain, ever. And I still don't. It was kind of, I always just thought of him as like, he's surrounded by all these people who are cutthroat and political around him, and it's just a function of I guess defending your own space and not letting somebody just encroach and take from you. So I always felt like it was just it was just, you do what you do and have whatever reasons you have for it. But I never thought of him as a villain, although he's got fine suits and like Super 120, so he may possibly be a villain. So. And
some great language in there. But I mean, I agree. I think it's the whole world of this show. Everybody has you. I mean, you really see people, right? There's no good and evil. Everybody's got a little bit of you really see the duality in everybody, and especially in the show, it brings out. I mean, there's certainly some more evil in some characters and better in others, but I thought the second season, some of the people I loved, surprised me and where their arcs went. And yeah, I mean, I think for you, I watching your kind of arc, it's like you're surrounded by vultures and you have to sort of come up in energy and language to match them. But you've also, this is a company you built, right? Like you're trying to hold on and protect it and also grow it and do all the right things, and you have all these employees and you're working, and you're sort of fiddling. I sort of love that kind of duality, and you definitely see it in your character as well, which I guess that's why people ask if you feel like it's villainous or not, but I think it's just
I mean, the one of the coolest things that early on when it came out and people started watching it is that there was somebody put together a dickhead list, and I was ranked pretty high on that, and I love that because I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. Somebody thinks I'm an asshole out there. That's so cool. Because I've usually played like the nice guy, or the computer programmer who's just doing his job or something, like, just not really rocking the boat or anything. So like for somebody to say that I was evil or terrible, I thought that was pretty cool.
Did Kieran Culkin fall above you on that list? I just have to know, or Logan fall above you on that list?
I think so. Yeah, I think they're definitely up there.
I don't think you're like
top. Yeah.
Do you ever get stopped on the street now, like after playing this role?
What's that?
I said, do you ever get stopped on the street now after playing this role and get like, I can just imagine, like, especially being in New York, that between New York and LA, when you're out and walking around, that you might get stopped.
Yeah, it's cool. It's such I think people watch it all over the place, obviously, but there is something particular about being in New York, because a lot of the show is set out of New York, but it's especially since I spent so much time in New York. Just when somebody recognizes me from the show, it's kind of cool because I've not had that really in New York. I'd just be like carrying my laundry down the street, and it's pretty anonymous. But I think I found that a lot of I don't maybe it's like a generalization. A lot of people, I definitely know that the people who love the show are people who are like in business and like some sort of, like, if they wear a suit in real life, I think they really love this show. That's been my impression, and there definitely are a lot of suits in New York,
especially where you're filming sometimes, which I imagine, well, the looks, I mean, I don't know if you're filming downtown, but there's a lot of downtown, you're in the midst of the offices, in the midst of Wall Street. I don't know if that's where you're actually filming, but
the maze of office spaces and glass. It's but I don't really have people saying, hey asshole, like saying I'm evil or anything like that. But it's usually like the great thing is people are always like, hey, I love the show. So it like almost has nothing to do with me. They're just like, you're that guy on that show. I love that show. So that's a cool thing, because in the beginning, you just kind of like work on a show and you have no idea if it's going to do well or not. And really, it's like none of my business whether or not it does. It was nice though when I took my sister to the premiere, and when we watched it, she leaned over to me afterwards and said, Robert, this is really good. And I was like, and so I feel like if you get Linda saying that it's good and she wants to watch the show, that's pretty high praise, I think.
Yeah. Family definitely gives you some honesty, so that's always it's always good to get through that first hurdle, Well, Tina Ray wants to know, what were your intense scenes with Kendall like to shoot?
What were they like to shoot?
A few of those, yeah.
Oh God, in that Well, this kind of is tied to, I tend to, a lot of times, like I just show up and I meet everybody on day one, and it's like semi-terrifying, because it's like first day of school where I got cast on tape and I Skyped a little bit, but really when I showed up, I met everybody, and I remember this massive table read where there were a ton of people there, like all the HBO people and everything. I was just meeting everyone for the first time. And I remember at the table read, Jeremy, who plays Kendall, he was kind of drilling into me and like going off script a little bit on, you know, like I fumbled a line, and he was just like, what? And I just felt like so much shame come over my face, and I was like, oh, okay. And I had no idea, you know, what any of that was really. Like I was just like, okay, I hope I get to still shoot this thing. And then I showed up, and nobody said anything to me during the whole pilot, the first episode. It's really just they let the actors do stuff, and you know, Adam McKay would shout, you know, like over this God mic, you know, just like say this, like a funny line instead of this one. So he'd like say, oh, say asshole, call him an asshole, tell him to go fuck himself, you know. And then you just do that. But outside of that, like I had no idea if anything was like working or not. So like in working with Jeremy, it wasn't like we were talking or buddy or anything like that. So it wasn't until we were done with everything that he got this shit ass grin on his face, and said, oh, that was great. And then, you know, I'll see you when I see you. And then so it was such a weird experience, but not unusual. It's just I found that tends to be the case, that nobody, you kind of like sit in this vacuum, and usually people tell you if you're doing something that they don't want you to do or something. But I think the casting was great, especially when I rewatched this thing. Yeah, having all that distance from it, where I could just watch it like I'm just watching it. I think it's all in the casting.
Yeah, the cast is the ensemble cast. I think I brought it up before. I mean, it's just incredible, all of you, and I mean, you know, down to every, you know, every, you know, smaller role, bigger role. Like you can just tell that there's something there, and I think as the show goes on too, I mean, it is sort of highly stylized. It's highly stylized, and it's a big world, and there's a lot of characters and a lot going on, a lot of side stories. How much of the script did you advance? How much did you know? I mean, obviously outside of the pilot, because that was sort of, you know, shot and then you waited. But then, you know, going into future episodes and future seasons, do you get the full script? Do you know everybody else's storylines? Because I know it's very different on different sets, how that works.
Yeah, no, for this for this show, it was, I didn't get anything in advance or anything like that. In fact, they know what they're doing, but it was still like kind of, they still kept writing as they went. So I, you know, like I think the great thing they did, and they could correct me if I'm totally wrong, you know, because I wasn't in the writer's room, but I think that they don't hold things too precious, and they kind of are improvising and you know, kind of writing as they go. If, you know, if something's happening in the first couple episodes, and they'll like rewrite and adjust things. So for me, it's, you know, like for instance, I think, I don't know, it was like the second or third episode or something like that, where I read the first draft, and it's like I'm getting out of bed, and then it's like, then a draft later, it's like Lawrence is in bed with his partner, and I was like, oh, I'm gay. So I was just like, oh, cool. Am I married? Do I have a husband? Like, you know, it was just in that little stage direction. Nothing else was different, but it was just like this little thing like that. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was just taking it all in as I went. But
Well,
at the same time, I've never been good. I've also never been good about just being like, oh, I need to know. I'm always like hunting, like, okay, like I could deal with this.
And so would you like, because there would be a couple of episodes where you might not be in, so would you know like what was going on in the other like would they at least give you that stuff to catch up on, or would you kind of walk in and you're really just following your storyline as you go?
Some of it I got some of it, but most of it I didn't. So there, you know, if there's like a gap, you know, I found that the best place to find out what's happening is like in the hair and makeup trailer, where you just be like, hey, so what happens in that episode? And they're like, oh yeah, because they're always reading like a couple scripts in advance, and then they always know what's up. So you know, like it's like, oh yeah, you know what happens to you is this, and you know, I think that's where I get my intel.
You're down the shaft. You get thrown down the shaft in the elevator in 2 episodes. You're like, no! I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
You're not the first person to say that. That like, you know, that's you know, they go to the hair and makeup booth and find out, you know, what has been going on and get sort of all of, you know, all the intel on sort of what else is everyone else is doing and how's it's going, especially if you're not on set every day. Well, actually, funny enough that you brought up that your character is gay, because Linda Yang wanted to know more about your partner. And you know, is that going to be, because you're shown getting out of bed and he's there. I mean, it's not really explicit, but it's sort of in there a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, it's full on there. And you know, it's funny. It's like nobody really noticed it. It's like it just kind of. I've never seen that. I was thrilled because I was like, oh, this is so cool. I've never seen a gay Asian couple where they're both Asian. I haven't seen that on television. And then so I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then it just kind of nobody noticed it, didn't really go anywhere. And it was just, okay, cool. All right. I know that. I know I love him.
Well,
I know that we went to prom together. No, I don't know. He's probably much younger than me. That's what happens. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a cool, I mean, I hope that they bring something of that, just because it's such, I mean, with you being sort of an entrepreneur and tech and all that kind of stuff, and this big, you know, media guru, like, I mean, it's just an interesting, you know, there's certainly something that they've peppered in there that'll be interesting to see if it gets exploited in any kind of way in future seasons. And maybe they're setting up for that. Who knows, I guess, right?
Yeah, maybe there's that big wedding episode that TV shows do. Yeah. Yeah, we're probably already married or something. Yeah.
Another question from our audience, just in general, what sort of roles are you looking for, and what excites you the most about a given role? So when you receive a script or something, what really gets to you?
I tend to not get bored with anything really, because I rarely pick something up and I'm like, oh yeah, I got that. I know that. So like most of the time I'm just like, I spend my time trying to find my way into it. So I guess like the kind of parts that I like to play things that just kind of make me say, oh shit, a little bit. Like if it's somebody who's completely not me, which is most of these things that I play. The further it is away from I guess me saying, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm gonna do with that. That's interesting to me. But there always has been like this. Like I don't think I get a lot of like parts, or they're not out of auditions or anything like that. That like a volume of them, but the ones that I tend to get tend to be the ones where there's something that I just kind of relate to it. So it's just when I do get the parts, they tend to be like pretty immediate. And then there's plenty that I just I get a lot out of just preparing for it. So it's I don't know. I think everything is pretty good. I'd like to play more of a full character in the story.
Yeah.
That's definitely something, because I find that so challenging, because like if you only have a handful of scenes and you have to create all this life around it that's off the page, that plugs into the story, as opposed to just having, you know, scenes that kind of build it up, where you just literally have to go in there, you know, like maybe fill out a prescription, and then the next scene you're like picking up this, and then you're taking the medication. It's like, oh, that guy's heavily dosed up on something, you know, instead of being like walking in a room and being like, this guy, like my backstory is I'm high on drugs or something like that, and because like I want to feed it into something later or something. So I would like to have more of that, you know.
So that makes total sense.
Yeah,
now there's going to be a season 3 of the series, right? We're all waiting.
Yeah.
And when
there's which.
Oh, sorry. Do you know when it would come around? I mean, I guess now who knows when anything in the world will come around.
My understanding is that it's, you know, it's just on hold like every other show out there, but I you know, I think it's like the shows that are, you know, international in scope, like this show, are going to be tougher to make it safe to shoot than something that's contained in like a studio or something like that, because most of the filming is on location with people all up around the place. So if you can control the environment better, I think you have a better shot at having that. I don't know, who knows what's going to happen with all this.
Well, I told you these 30 minutes go by so fast. We're actually there.
Is that 30 minutes?
30 minutes. It goes by very quickly. But I wanted to thank you for joining me, and just remind the audience again that SeriesFest is a nonprofit, and while this event is free, we do ask for suggested donation. Anything that you can give, if you're able to give, really helps keep us going, keeps us doing programs like this. You can go to seriesfest.com/donate, or through our Facebook or Instagram. But Rob, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, and this you can you can send this link off to your friends. It'll be live on our YouTube channel. We have a bunch of other ones that we've done previously, so we hope you'll check them out. And we'll be back next Wednesday with Betsy Sodaro and Disjointed. So we'll hope if you're fans of her, and I hear there's going to be some comedy special appearances and guests that may appear. I'm not really 100% sure. But I hear it'll be a fun week next week. But Rob, thank you. I'm obsessed with the session, and you are an absolute just incredible person and human being, which is the most important thing of all. So thank you for joining us, and have a good
thank you for having me. I wish we were having a drink and actually meeting in person. So.
Me too. I wish we were back at Park City, so cold, and I'm from Florida, but I kind of wish we were back in Park City having a hot toddy.
Yeah, that was so
no,
fun.
Hopefully, not fun. But let's go have a beer now, and I'll give you a ring, and we'll go from there.
All right.
All right. Bye, viewers. Thank you.
Bye.